Johnson. I'm the founder and the executive director of the Empower Series. Welcome to the Empower Series Live podcast. I want to welcome everybody within the United States and around the world who are our listening audience. I just love the way that sounds globally. Right? So I first want to thank our sponsors. If it wasn't for our sponsors like you, providing your resources and your support, we wouldn't be able to put on the quality programs that we put on, our lunch and learns, our workshops, and our podcasts. So I want to thank you for your generous contributions. I want to thank Comerica Bank, who has been a longtime financial supporter through their charitable foundation, as well as AE Media Group. So thank you, much appreciation, much love. If you want to find out more about the Empower Series, you can go to our website, which is www.empowerseries.com. You can click on the RSVP button, and you can see our upcoming events. So we had a wonderful lunch and learn today in Dallas with Vanessa Luna, talks about how to work with social media influencers. And tomorrow we'll be at the Highland Hills Library with Anthony Reed talking about achieving the unbelievable. So he is a marathon runner. He's going to talk about how we can use the marathon runner mindset to achieve our goals in life. He's actually running every one of the 7 continents of a marathon, and has run 131 races in all 50 states. So you'll hear his story, and he's a CPA of all professions, right? So what we're going to do is, also if you want to donate, there's a donate button on our website as well. You can also text give or donate to 214-225-6337. Your generous donations are always appreciated, but your time, your talents, volunteerism, everything is needed to help us put on these programs. So please stay connected. In every workshop that we do, or every podcast, or every lunch and learn, we want to give you hope that you can achieve your goals. We want to inspire you to take action on your ideas. We want to educate you and want to connect you to resources to help you fulfill your goals. So today I'm really excited because we're going to talk to a couple that I met through the internet because they were working out and they looked very healthy and fit, and they were doing a podcast called The Hall Strategies, and their name is Tyler and Brittney Hall. So I want to welcome them. And Tyler, we were talking earlier that you are in the financial services area, right, and we work for a previous company, a previous employer. And Brittany, you are an engineer of all things, right? And
Yes.
Industrial engineer, right?
Industrial engineer,
in
correct.
the health industry.
Yes.
But even though you guys are both professionals and you have full-time jobs, you also have a passion for health.
Absolutely.
So you're both not financial advisors, but you're both personal trainers.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And I know you are a certified yogi with 500 hours of instructor, probably even more.
Yes.
Are you also a yogi too? Because you're pretty flexible. I saw you.
Oh, you saw the videos? Oh.
Or you're just her number one student, is that it?
I'm her number one student.
Oh, yeah.
I try my best to go to classes as often as I can.
There you go. Follow the yogi instructions.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. I make sure he's in there.
And then you guys also have this podcast called The Hall Strategies.
Yes.
And I was really impressed by that because The Hall Strategies is about really being the best version of yourself.
Exactly.
And really making sure that's just physically, mentally, spiritually, that's all around.
Right.
And as we have this conversation to understand more about what that is and your strategies, I want to encourage all of you, if you look below in the comment section, in the live chat session, I provided a link for you to download our Will of Life. And our Will of Life, I was just talking to the Halls about this. The Will of Life is very similar to in Zig Ziglar's book, Born to Win. He has a wheel, it's like a bicycle wheel with spokes. And every spoke is a portion of your life. So one portion could be family, spiritual growth, community involvement, health, spiritual growth, things of that nature, your career, money, finances. And so we may be successful in one area, but that doesn't mean that we're always being the best that we can be in the other areas. Right. So if we were to, like if the center was 0, mm-hmm, and the outer lines were 10, mm-hmm, and we were to grade ourselves 0 through 10 as to where we were in each one of those areas, very rarely will we have a perfect circle.
Right.
And I do this process every year to look at, okay, where am I, mm-hmm, and where can I improve in different areas, because it's never, trying to be balanced is just very tough, right?
Yes.
So I want to have you on the show to hear about your strategies.
Yes,
okay. Because I think that's going to be very valuable for us. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay.
Go ahead, Tyler.
Okay, sure. So my name is Tyler Hall. I work in financial services. I've been in financial services now for 12 years. 12 years I've been in financial services, and I'm also a certified personal trainer through the NSCA, National Strength and Conditioning Association. Mm-hmm. And I've been a certified trainer for 2.5 years.
Okay. So now, were you also an athlete?
I was an athlete in high school. I did run track. I loved running track. That is my favorite sport. Still keep up to it to this very day. And after high school, I just transitioned over to more weightlifting and running, longer distances, more for cardio. And I just love to try different types of exercises now.
Now, did you play sports in college as well, or did you not play?
No, I didn't play sports in college. Some opportunities presented themselves, but I just went fully academic.
Okay, and then when did you decide to get certified as a personal trainer?
I decided to get certified when I was working full-time, and in the evenings, I just loved training. Ask my wife.
Yes.
If there's an off day or on the weekends, I can go to the gym and then leave and go to a yoga class, go grab something to eat, and then do it all over again all day. Yeah. I love it. And when I'm at the gym, if someone has questions or if someone needs help, someone wants to jump in and work out with me, I'm always open to it. And so I just talked to my wife about it, and she was like, well, have you ever thought about being a trainer? And initially, it was like, I've never really thought about it, but then it made sense. Like, well, I'm doing it anyway, so just let's go ahead and dive right in. So I jumped in, and I love it. I love meeting with different clients and understanding what their goals are and how I can help them reach those goals and making plans and just seeing the progress. That's fulfilling.
Okay, so always been an athlete. Seems like natural fitting for you to be certified to be a trainer, right? And then to take that passion, that knowledge, and help other people who cross your path, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, so you've been doing training for 2 years, but how long have you been certified?
2.5 years.
Oh, 2.5 years. Okay, good. All right, and Brittany.
Yes. Okay, so I graduated from the University of Texas in Arlington. I studied industrial engineering. And then I graduated and I had an internship and I started working in manufacturing. And I realized I was like, I really like engineering, but I'm not enjoying the industry where I'm working. And my passion is health and wellness. And at the time I was really into working out. I did different activities. I was very athletic. But we moved, I got a job at Baylor Scott and White. So they have what's called management engineers. And I said, wow, this is awesome. This ties to my personal goals. So working in health and wellness as an occupation. And then on the side, I realized I started taking yoga classes. And I realized, wow, this is something that really brings me a lot of joy, mental clarity. And it spills into all aspects of my life because yoga is not just a physical practice. It's a spiritual practice. So I started seeing my life kind of folding in together where everything was melting together and it made sense. So we talk about on our podcast overall wellness. So what you do, where you do it, and who you do it with is all important. So my occupation and my passion colliding for me brings me purpose. So that's where I want to say I've been practicing yoga for about 7 years. I've been teaching for about 3. But I've always been active. And so it made sense to me to work in health and wellness. And then on the side, after work, after I leave the hospital, I'm going and teaching yoga classes. So it kind of all, it's like I call it a circle, right? So for me, I'm involved in the continued care continuum. So I'm working with people in all aspects of wellness. So from the hospital with my engineering degree to like rehab and rehabilitation with people who come in looking for some kind of relief physically. So to me, that's like, it's a passion to be able to work in health and wellness in all aspects of my life.
Well, I think it's really interesting that you guys both have full-time careers and jobs, but you have a passion of health and not only living it, but then helping other people with it. So like many of us, you have to find some type of balance.
Yes.
And unfortunately, people are unhappy going to work doing something that's not 100% in their calling, but you're able to find some connection.
Yes.
Right? Are you able to do the same when you look at financial services? And
I am. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So somehow you're helping.
Yes.
Right? And I think if people can really look deep and make the connections of how is my current, day-to-day job a stepping stone, part of my path, part of the circle, right, of me fulfilling my calling, the passion, and whatever it is that I do outside of the work hours.
Right.
So
exactly.
And so it seems like you've been doing this for 7 years. You've been working out forever, ever since you were like.
Since I came.
Right.
You were born.
Right.
So it's really interesting because congratulations are in order. Back in November, you guys have been married for 6 years. So congratulations on that.
October 19th.
October
Yes.
19th?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
really?
Yes.
That's cool.
It flew by.
Can you look?
Oh my gosh, yes.
My aunt and uncle have been married for 60 years.
Ooh,
So
wow.
so this
Blessing.
is just, so you're going to do this like what, 9 more times? You
Yeah,
got
we got
60.
we got a few more in there.
It's going to fly by like this, right?
Yeah.
So congratulations on that. And then belated happy birthday.
Thank you.
In December,
Yes,
right?
December 28th.
And then happy birthday this month, a couple of days ago, right?
January 14th.
Yep.
Okay, there you go.
Yep, he likes to
All
call me a cougar for those 2 weeks. I don't appreciate that, but all right. 2 weeks older than him. He never lets me forget.
Well, that's interesting. So you guys both have a passion for fitness, wellness. How did you guys connect?
So going back to when we met.
Yeah.
So I have a good friend. This may get a little confusing. I have a good friend that is good. That was dating Brittany's sister's good friend.
Okay.
So
So a guy dating a friend of
With
his
my sister.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
had to think
All
about that. Yes, that's right.
and so Brittany's sister would have an annual cookie party for Christmas.
Yeah.
And she invited my friend over, and my friend invited me. So we just came to hang out, just a couple of friends or whatever. And I met Brittany's mom first.
Yeah.
And Brittany's mom was very nice, very sweet, very kind, welcoming into the house. And a little bit later, Brittany walked in. She walked in with one of her friends. And first, I was stunned because...
Okay, you're going to tell the whole story.
Well, first I was stunned because of the beauty. And
Right,
then...
like, look, right?
Right.
Thanks,
And
guys.
then I was also surprised. I've never seen anyone look that much like their mother before. It was
Yeah.
just mind-boggling.
They
People think we're
they
sisters.
say a lot of times, like, watch the mother. That tells you.
Yes,
Okay.
it is true.
And that's where we met. And then we found out we went to the same church. We have some of the same friends. We even go to the same school. I also went to UTA.
Oh, okay.
And so it was like we have
Mm-hmm.
all of this in common. We're in all of the same places, but we've never met. And so
But you didn't know each other.
No,
Right.
we
And
didn't.
were you were going around at the same time?
Yeah, I knew most of his friends, but I never met him, which was strange.
right,
Yeah, because it was destined. Things happen when they're supposed to happen.
exactly.
I believe that 100%.
And so after that, that's when we started to hang out at school and study together and just hanging out. And
Okay.
yeah, and it worked out.
She couldn't get rid of me. After
Oh,
that.
yeah. I was like,
Did
here
you-
goes Tyler again.
Did you try? No.
I mean, well, it's funny because, so when I first met him, I was dating someone. So
Okay.
I
Truth
really,
comes out. Did you know this?
yeah, he knew.
I did not pursue her while she was dating.
He did not
Let's get
pursue
this
me.
clear,
No, he
right?
did not pursue me, which I appreciated that. But I really wasn't giving him any attention.
Gotcha.
But after me and the current guy I was dating broke up, I saw him all the time, just showing up at different events. Like, why are you here, Tyler? But it worked out because, I mean, for me, that's what caught my attention.
Yeah.
Is that the persistence and the way he pursued me is what I fell in love with.
So the strategy is this.
The strategy.
There's always a
We're
strategy.
gonna let it go, right?
Yes, kept
She's dating
going.
somebody. Okay, well, I'll just
I'll
be on the
wait.
wing, wait till brother slip up. Just a matter of time,
he
right?
he was there. I was like,
Then-
oh, how convenient.
Then all the time, just make yourself available.
Exactly. He knows the strategy.
I know, he got that strategy. That's it.
Look, so for all y'all, that's all you got to do, just be patient, right?
Patience and persistence.
So that's cool. So that's really great. So you guys met 6 years ago, or around? No, not 6 years.
How many years
long-
ago, Tyler,
how
was
long
that?
ago-
That was December 2008 when we met.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys knew each other for a number of years before you actually got married.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we started dating in 2010.
Started dating in 2010,
Yes.
got engaged December 2012, and got married October 2013.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
yeah.
so tell me, where did the Hall strategies come from?
Yes. So that came from us realizing that we both had a passion for fitness. I love training. I love reading books on training and watching videos on new training methods, and I just love it.
Okay.
And I would come and talk to her about it, and she isn't as into weightlifting as I am, so just
I go.
kind of watching her eyes glaze over while I talk about it. And, but, she would share that same mutual passion, but with yoga.
Okay.
And so we would just, think of ways that we could use this, to help people or to bring value, to our communities. And Hall Strategy is what we came up with.
Okay.
Right. People were asking us to come do different talks. They were asking us questions. I was blogging, and I was like, well, Tyler, why don't we just make this a side business. We can keep our, our daytime jobs, maybe just do this on the side and just see how it goes. And that's how we came up with it. We were already doing it, and then all we just needed was a name.
Put a structure with it.
So you've been doing one-on-one practicing or group practicing? When it comes to
both.
teaching.
So I do have a few one-on-one clients, but mostly I do group classes, which to me is the most fun. It's teach at a hot yoga studio in Dallas. It's called Gaia Flow Yoga.
Okay.
It's a hot yoga studio, and I've been teaching there, and that's where I got my certification. It's a love-based practice because there's a lot of different types of styles of yoga out there, as we talked about before, but this one's what drew my attention.
So I do hot yoga too. We were talking
about that, yeah.
At Pure Yoga, right? Got to give them some dap.
Yes.
So, hot yoga is good. And that's the kind of yoga that you practice.
Exactly. Hot yoga. It's about 95 to maybe about 97 degrees.
Okay.
It's not quite as hot as
105, yeah.
Exactly,
Gotcha.
which is about more my speed. But it does help with flexibility. It does give you a great workout. You are sweating. I usually teach cardio-based classes.
Oh.
So we're doing a lot of inversions, some HIIT workouts, and it's just a lot of fun.
So do you have a schedule of when you teach?
I do. Right now, I'm kind of focusing on one-on-ones, but typically on the website, I do teach a couple times a week.
Okay,
Yes.
so if someone wants to find out about your schedule,
Yes.
or how do they?
If they want to reach us, so they can go to our website. We've got our contact information there. If they want to do one-on-ones or anything, that's perfect. It's hallstrategiesllc.com. And if they want to email us, it's hallstrategiesllc@gmail.com, and they can reach out to us. We can give them our schedules, pricing, whatever information that they want.
Okay, so you have a group classes at a studio.
Yes.
And when you do one-on-ones, do you go to their home or do you go to the studio?
I go to their. It depends on what they want to do. So the few clients that I have now, I go to them. And there's some places in Dallas that allow us to maybe rent out a space if they want to do something outside of the home, or even come to my house if that's something that they're comfortable with. But typically I go to them.
Okay.
And that works out too. And if people want to do, group classes at a church, I've had churches reach out to me that have wanted to do group sessions with their members, and that's always been great.
Okay, and then Tyler, with you, when you have sessions, where do you work out with weights? Where do you go?
So typically, I do have weights that I can carry around in my car and things like that. So if it's an outdoor workout, we may go to a park and utilize equipment there, or there are certain gyms in the DFW area that allow personal trainers to come in at a feed rate and to work there.
Where do you work out yourself personally?
There's a LA Fitness that I work out at on Haskell in 75.
And do they allow you to work out your clients there, or do they not? They want you to be employed?
They want you to be employed there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know a lot of times when I worked out with a personal trainer, it's amazing how much of a workout you can go through without weights.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, man,
Yes.
that's probably the worst I've ever felt after a workout.
Body weights.
That's what surprises a lot of my clients.
Yeah. Have you guys heard of Wendy Ida? She's from Los Angeles. She's like 67 years old, but does not look it.
I think I've seen
I
pictures
think
of
I
her before.
have
Yep.
seen pictures
Yeah.
of her.
She's very fit.
Yeah, she actually came. She came and spoke in August last year.
Oh,
And-
wow.
And I'll tell you a quick little story. I saw her 5 years ago, a Facebook picture, and I looked at that picture and I was like, man, can't believe it. She was like 62 at the time.
That's amazing.
And I just said, I'm not saying I would date her, but I definitely want to be the kind of guy that women would date. you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was
yeah.
5 years ago. 2 years later, I actually met her at a George Fraser Power Networking Conference, and that was here in Dallas. And she actually worked out a group, and she worked out everybody and tore me up.
Oh, I bet she did.
Oh my gosh!
You loved it, didn't you?
It was like what was it, joy pain kind of thing, you know?
Yes, pleasure and pain, it's all there.
But it was just really interesting that 5 years ago I saw her, but then in August she actually came and she shared her story, and her story is really interesting. Going back to wellness, and there's different levels of wellness. She really didn't start working out until she was 43. She came out of a 13-year domestic violence relationship, kind of escaped from New Jersey with just the clothes out of her back and her 2 kids. And when she was in Los Angeles and she started working out, which is what everybody does, she saw some control over her body.
Wow.
And and she got her joy and her laughter back, and now she uses that as a platform to really let everybody know that age is just a thing.
Right.
It really is.
And
Yes.
got it. And she's always has all this energy and excitement. And so the fact that you guys can really bring that to people, and this is the beginning of the year, so I know a lot of people are saying that they want to get back on the stick, right?
Just talking about New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
Just talking about that.
And so you were saying that there's so many different measures of wellness. It's not just how you look.
Yes.
So tell me more about that.
So there's various dimensions to wellness. So last year I went to a conference by Sarah Jakes Roberts. She has Woman Evolve. And I went there and I spoke about the 8 dimensions of wellness. And people argue that there may be more. But it was eye-opening to a lot of the women there, because when you think about health and wellness, you think about physical, right? We were talking about that. It's more than just how you look, right? You have physical, mental, spiritual, there's occupational wellness, there's social wellness, there's academic wellness, there's intellectual wellness, there's environmental wellness, there's financial wellness. So all of these play a factor in your overall wellness. So you were talking about that will. Exactly. So what Hall Strategies does, and that's what we talk about in our podcast, it's great. So each month we'll focus on a different aspect. And, physical wellness is great. That's important. But you really want to, in my opinion, start with the mind and your spirit. Because once you get that spills into your physical wellness. Because what you think about yourself is important. As a man thinketh, so is he, right? Yeah. So it starts with the mind. So I want to say that was one of our first podcasts was mental wellness and spiritual wellness. So that's what I talk with my clients about, because we talked about this. And that's why I like the practice of yoga, because it's not just a physical practice. There's a mental and spiritual portion as well. So at Gaia Flow, and even in my personal trainings, before we even work out, I sit with them and we talk about, all right, what's your intention for your practice? And yoga, they're called yamas and niyamas, but they're the spiritual disciplines of yoga. So it's what brings you to your mat? What is your intention? Truthfulness, non-stealing, purity, all those things are part of the practice. That comes first. Even before you get on your mat and you're moving, we're looking at the disciplines of yoga, the observations, what brings you to your mat. Let's work on our mind first, and then we work on the physical practice. So that's important too. I always make sure that we understand, and my clients understand, yoga is great and working out is great, but let's start with the mind. Let's work on your spirit.
So you bring that into every session?
Every single session.
Okay.
Every session. Even that studio I teach at, which is why I like this studio.
And then how do you bring that into your
I do.
workouts with your clients?
And that is the most important part. Because when you come into fitness and you want to see a change in your physical body, it takes time, and it isn't easy. When you do an intense workout, you'll wake up, you're sore the next morning, and you may be discouraged because you don't see the results that you want immediately. It takes time, especially it depends on what point you're coming from. So when I meet with my clients, the goal, the conversation first is, what is your goal? Do you want to lose weight? Do you want to gain muscle mass? Or you just want to be healthier overall? What do you want to get out of this? And then we set small incremental goals, because if the goal is to lose 60 pounds, and that's going to take a lot of time. And so if you look up in 2 weeks and you say, I haven't lost 60 pounds, you get discouraged. So we'll say, okay, well, let's say you want to lose 60 pounds. At the end of this month, we'll look for 5 pounds. And then we'll look, okay, well, where's your strength? Oh, you want to add more weight to your bench press, or you want to be able to squat more. Okay, let's add incremental weights there. So we set goals, small incremental goals, but we also ask why you want to do it, because it gets hard. And if your why isn't great enough, then the pain that you feel from lifting and everything that's working against you and telling you to stop or to put the weight down, or why are you doing this, it'll make you put the weight down.
Like the soreness you feel.
Oh, yeah, that'll last. Oh, that second day, leg day.
Right. So you have to know, okay, I'm doing this because I want to be healthier. I'm doing this because I want to get on stage and do a competition, this summer. When you have those goals and you start to, and this is when people are really in, is when they see that they've met that first goal, that they've lost some weight around their midsection, that they've added a little bit of weight to their bench press, that they can fit an old pair of pants or that they haven't been able to wear in a couple of years, that's when people are really committed. Yeah.
I want to jump in, Tyler. You should tell them about when you did that physique competition. You talk about your why being greater than your pain. I think that pain was a little too, was it too great for you on that one?
No, so
She set you up,
We
bruh.
didn't talk about this. I should have brought this up on our podcast last night. I forgot.
so we and so I've always loved to work out. And so one of my friends a couple of years ago, he was doing a physique competition at the Irving Convention Center. And he had been talking to me, asking me, come and do it with me. And I was like, no, I don't know how to pose, because you have a set number of poses that you do. I don't know how to pose. I don't know how to do any of that. No, I'm not doing it. I'll come and support you. And one day at the gym, he went into the studio and he started posing. And then I was like, well, that's not so bad.
I can do that, right?
Yeah,
And I was
just
like,
stand.
and my wife tells me I should always try new things. So I said, you know what? Let me just go ahead and try it. It was like a week out from the competition. I said, let me just go ahead and try it. You never know,
Right.
just to say I did it. And I wanted to be able to say that I did something out of the box. And so I did it. I got on stage. He showed me a couple of poses. So I got on stage. I did all the poses absolutely wrong. But I was actually still able to win. So I won the competition.
First place.
And
You only trained a week out.
And it
Which was crazy.
It was different. It was different.
Yeah.
But I gained an appreciation for the sport. And I have not gotten back on
Right.
stage.
He hasn't
I was
done
gonna
one
say- I was gonna
since.
say-
He hasn't done one since.
So wait, why not though, man?
I didn't get anything from it.
Yeah, with your why.
You didn't have a compelling why.
I didn't have a compelling why. Like I already love to work out, so my reason for getting on stage, or my reason for working out, was not to get on stage.
Gotcha.
My reason for getting on stage was just to say to myself, hey, you tried something new. And once I tried something new, there was no need to do it again.
Because truly, when you look at people on stage, we don't see the process and the hard work, the dieting, all of the work that gets into it. And to your point, you have to have a very compelling reason why.
And when you say
Yes.
that, I only said this to one guy, and then I figured it wasn't a good idea to say it to anyone else. And I told him that I had trained for a week. And
Oh,
he
no,
had trained
yeah.
for
Oh, you
several-
don't.
And so I was like, let me not tell them. They're going to beat me up before I
Yeah.
hit the door. So,
His friends were mad that they had even helped him because they were in the same competition as he was.
yeah. So
And so he has
Okay,
not
man.
done
Like,
one since
I'm
that.
sorry, but everybody's going to hear this. And
Everyone's gonna,
we're going to kick up some more dust, right?
now it's
Thank
out.
you. Thank you, right?
I thought everyone
Thanks
should
for
hear
setting me
that's a
up,
great
man.
story. I love that story. You talked about the why. I thought it was perfect.
Well, I like what you guys are saying, because it does start with the mind. And I do have a question for you, because when we started the Empowering series, we had a gentleman called, named Dr. Dennis Kimbrough kick off the Empowering series. Have you heard of Dr. Dennis Kimbrough before?
I think I have. I
So
don't think so.
you've heard of the book Think and Grow Rich
Yes.
by Napoleon
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
So Dr. Dennis Kimbrough wrote the book Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice.
Okay, maybe that's
And
what-
it's co-authored with Napoleon Hill, because when he passed away in 1970 of a stroke, he was in the process of interviewing African Americans to write a version of his 1930 classic focused on African Americans. And many people didn't know that.
Yes.
And so the foundation held onto the book for 16 years until Dr. Dennis Kimbrough was writing his book, What Makes the Great Great. And they've asked him to put his book on hold to finish Napoleon Hill's manuscript. And it came out in 1990, I think, close to it. But this is the 30th year anniversary of the book Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice.
Okay.
But I bring that up because you talk about mindset, and he talks about that all the time, that wealth really begins in the mind, and wealth is not really about money. It's about your mindset and you having enough courage to step out on your ideas and your dreams. So that's everything starts with the mind.
Yes.
And we say that, but we are so into kinesthetics and physical stuff. So working out, yoga, like how long can you hold your pose? Can you get
Yes.
into a pose,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
What do you look like? How much can you lift? So your mindset is, what is your reason why? You got to be clear on that, not just with working out, but with everything. Your
Right.
why. What is your intention when you're on your mat? And slowing down and not just going so much on automatic pilot, but being more mindful and aware. And so I'll tee this up because I asked both of you what your intentions were.
Yes. Yes.
And I stole that from Oprah.
Great person to take things from. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I tell so many stories. So Shaka Senghor I told you guys about too. And Shaka was interviewed by Oprah, and he told me that Oprah asked him that question. So what is your intention? Before she interviewed him, and he said, I don't know if I'll get this right, but somewhere along the lines, his intention was to let people know that people are redeemable. Because he spent so much time in prison and he feels like your worst deeds don't define you. And he wanted to know that redemption is possible for everyone. And even someone who's not in prison. That was his intention. And your intention was to really make sure that people are inspired to identify and discover what their why is.
Yes.
So what their why is when it comes to physical fitness or really anything in life, your why is the first thing you got to step out with, right?
Exactly.
And then empowerment. Power series, empowerment.
Yes. Of
Did
course.
Did you do that on purpose?
I mean,
She prepared for this, right?
a little studying goes in hand.
So empowerment and really empowering people to be more health conscious and be more well-rounded when it comes to their health.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Exactly.
And so that's, you guys seem to be such a well-rounded couple. And the other thing that I'm going to set you up with this, right? So the other thing I say is that you see people who are successful, you look at someone from the outside and you think, oh man, that's great. You know, you're so good. You work out all the time and you can do all these twists and twirl. You guys are great. And then you guys are both interested in physical fitness, but what's the real deal? They don't see the process. Has it really been that easy? What are some of the challenges that you've had to overcome some adversity to really stay true to your intention?
Ooh.
You want to go first?
I'll start, and I think I can speak for both of us, but you can tag on to this. I would say fear, stepping out of my comfort zone. I'll start with this. I think people think I love public speaking, but when I was younger, I used to stutter. And I used to talk, and I still do sometimes. I talk really fast when I get excited. And so whenever people would start asking me to come speak, I was like, oh, I don't think I'm the person for that. I'm not the best speaker. But people kept asking. And my pastor Bishop talked about this. There's growth in discomfort. So if I'm always comfortable in what I'm doing, I'll never grow. And so I started challenging myself because I know there are things I want to attain in life, and I wasn't going to attain them just staying stagnant. I had to transform and do some things that were new that I didn't always feel comfortable in. So that was me. And then when I did yoga teacher training, I didn't intend on teaching. I was like, no, I think I'm just going to do it just for me because I just want to learn how to do a handstand and I want to learn how to do this. But when I started doing the classes, I was realizing, okay, there's more here. I have something to offer. So for me, it's been stepping outside of my comfort zone and doing something every single day that scares me. Even at work, I do a lot of training at my job because we deal a lot with executives and chief nursing officers and things like that need the information. So I'm constantly training. And so I'm realizing that in my family, teaching is what my grandfather did. He was a professor. My grandma, who is, I want to say she's almost 80, she's still teaching to this day. And so I was always trying to run from it. But my mom was like, Brittany, it's in your blood. You're not going to be able to run from that.
Yes.
And so for me, stop fighting it. Just do what you're called to do. And so for me, it's been stepping out of my comfort zone. And so that's been challenging for me. And then pulling my husband along because I know he hates public speaking as well. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so
this is torture for you guys, right?
I mean,
she loves it.
I'm getting better. I'm enjoying it more. It depends on who I'm talking to.
Okay.
And I would agree with what she's saying in that you push yourself out of that comfort zone. So for me, I'm naturally more of an introverted person. But our first class, so I would teach clients on my own solo, and Brittany would have her, classes that she would teach in her, one-on-one sessions. And she was approached by a yogi festival to come and teach a class. And
Cosmic Yogi Festival.
The Cosmic Yogi Festival, it was in Addison. And she accepted. She's like, yes, we'll teach the class. And then she said, but can we teach a group class or a combined class, meaning instead of just yoga, strength and conditioning yoga, where we would teach it together.
And she pulled you in.
She pulled me in. And so when she first asked me, I knew, I'm like, I do not want to do that. but this would be good for me. So without even thinking about it, I said, yeah, I'll do it with you. And she was surprised, like, wow, okay, yeah. I wasn't expecting
some pushback.
And so I said yes. Now, as we approached the event,
oh my gosh, yeah, I forgot about that. Excuses.
The excuses came up. Right, I started fighting back, and I really did. But we had a great time.
Yeah,
we had a great time, and I'm glad I did it, and because right when I said yes, when she initially came to me about it, I knew I would enjoy it, but I knew those nerves would get the best of me, and so if I thought on it too long, I would talk myself out of it. So before I talked myself out of it, I told her told her to go ahead and confirm us. So now I'm held accountable for it.
So it sounds like when you know that when you have some resistance to something, and you know you're going to be uncomfortable, say yes to it.
Say yes.
So you got to say yes to it, and then I would say if you're not married to somebody who's going to pull you into stuff, right? You want to surround yourself with some friends who's going to pull you into some stuff.
Social wellness,
make you feel really uncomfortable. So I want to ask you another question on this line then.
Okay.
So that is an example of how you know that putting yourself in uncomfortable situations is going to help you grow. So you've done that when it comes to public speaking and doing things that are within your calling of fitness. So I want you to be a little bit more transparent now. And I want you to tell me an area, and this could be separately, of what are you not doing that you know you need to do that you're still working on.
I'll take this one first.
Okay, let me think.
Something that I am still working on is I do still procrastinate about certain things. So one thing that I've been saying that I was going to do is become a certified nutritionist. And that's something that I know it's something that I can do, but to have that credential behind my name and to support me and helping people reach their goals in addition to just exercise and fitness, that would really help me out a lot. And I've been, drag my feet a little bit on that. What that comes from, though, is gaining the confidence. So it's knowing that I can do it, but then also really just following through with it. So that's one thing I'm still working on, following through with things like that.
So where is that? What's going to happen with that in 2020 for you?
I'm going to get certified.
So y'all hearing that?
I'm about to say
now,
this is
right?
on recording.
So by 2020, we're going to hear back, going to follow up. You're going to be a nutritionist now.
I will be certified.
Okay,
all
cool.
right.
Thank you for sharing that and being
Thank you.
transparent.
So mine, I would say procrastination in a certain area. I told Tyler, I didn't tell a lot of people, I was like, I want to write a book because I have all these thoughts. I'm always speaking on different things. I love to read. I said, I'm gonna write a book on the various dimensions of wellness and talk about it from, different perspectives, especially being a Christian. And I remember I was telling a friend about this, and they kind of gave me some pushback. Well, what credentials do you have to write a book? And I started questioning myself, like, you know what? Maybe I need to live a little bit longer and have some more experiences. So I had already started writing it, but I kind of took a step back and was like, well, maybe I need to wait, and maybe I don't know enough yet. And so I felt doubt starting to creep in. And I want to say my number one advocate is my mom. And so she pushed me, and she's like, well, what do you have to lose? And why are you listening to these people? Who are these people?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, you're right. So that's something that I don't tell a lot of people, because if you tell people, they're like, okay, how's that book going? Okay, don't start questioning me now. It's not something that I think will take, a few months. It's something I think is going to take time. But I know I do have something to say, regardless of what other people might think. Mm-hmm. I know what God has instilled in me, and I know the message that I'm trying to reach, and I'll have a certain audience for whatever I'm speaking on. And it might not be for everyone, but I know there's an audience out there because God has given me these thoughts, these ideas, and I've already written plenty of blogs on different things, and people have seemed to take to them. So it's just getting over that fear of what do people think about me putting, myself out there and saying I wrote a book, and I'm only 32. I don't have enough life experience to be trying to write a book about life.
Right.
But you write from your perspective.
So. When is the book going to come out?
So that I knew you were asking me that. It is something I am still working on. So I'm going to start. And so my goal this year is to, and I talked to a friend who's written a book, Cora Jakes Coleman, one of my friends wrote Faithing It, and another book last year. And so she told me, well, do you have a plan? And I was like, a plan for what? She's like,
Right.
your book, you have to have a plan. And I have yet to do that. So this year, I'm going to start with setting out a plan, a writing plan, so that I don't let this drag out for 8 years.
So what's a writing plan? What does that entail?
It entails it's like a think of like an outline, and you do it all the time in high school, right? When you're writing a paper or in college, you have an outline and you have deadlines. All right, by this date, I want to have this much written, this many words, and so for me, it's actually sitting down, not procrastinating, and doing that, and not worrying about what people think, because what people think, it's okay to care, but not letting that control my moves, not letting that control my steps, my actions, my course of life.
So I'll find, and I'll be transparent too, right? I was thinking, I'm just asking you guys. I should do the same, but let me focus on you right now.
Okay.
With anything, so with the workout, you normally have someone with the workout plan, and they do the workout and they monitor it, and you monitor the progress over time, right? The same with yoga, right?
Yes.
You have scheduled sessions and you go through your sessions. And
Exactly.
but yet in the areas of our lives where, and in my life where I'm not seeing the progress I would like, I go back, am I following the principles? And what is my mindset around it?
Yes.
My friend says procrastination like the number one killer.
Oh, yeah, it
It's
is.
better than, stronger than cancer or anything else is procrastination. And along the lines of a book, people have been telling me I need to put something on paper, and I've been putting it off for one reason or another. But one of my friends told me, she said, "Do you feel like writing this book will save lives?" And I said, "Yeah." She says, "So," and I usually tell other people this.
Yeah.
So why aren't you doing it? Do you just not care? And that really hurt me. It's like,
Wow.
look at all the stuff I'm doing. Yeah, I care.
Wow, that's a good way to look at it.
She was twisted
In the
knife.
gut,
Right.
yeah.
And so another good author, playwright, she was on my podcast. Her name is Gabrielle Pena. She says that what she does is she makes her plan of how many words or pages she's going to write on period, and her sisters, who she touches base with and says, okay, hey, look, I did it.
Accountability.
But it takes her a while. She says she spends a year just researching.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then, when she gets things on paper, and Dr. Dennis Kimbrough, it took him 7 years to write the book, Think and Grow Rich.
Okay.
And so, but then with Shaka Senghor, I was talking about Shaka. Shaka wrote a book in 30 days.
See, and yes, I hear that all the time. Write a book in a week. Write a book in 6 months.
Well, whatever it's discipline. It's about how committed are you to the task, and what are you writing,
Right.
Yes.
right? So with me, a lot of times people see the Empower series and see how great it is, and I tell people that it's not like I've reached some level, I'm on the pedestal, I'm giving back to the community. I need the Empower series. When you don't have a surrounding group of people who are pushing you or inspiring you to do things, or when you find that you want to do something and it costs thousands of dollars to get a coach, and you don't have thousands of dollars,
Yes.
right? Or you just don't
I
want to
see.
spend it. I believe that there are resources around us that if we tap into and we reach out and we're bold and courageous enough to act on ideas, that we can achieve the things that we want. And it's a illusion to say that we don't have money or we don't have anything. There's an abundance of wealth around us. And so a lot of times people have a perception that I don't need the Empower series. That's not true. I need the Empower series.
You're
just
the
as much as
pro,
everyone
huh?
else. Like I'm doing this for me, and y'all just coming along for the ride.
Exactly.
I need the mindset working out. So when I look at my will of life, there's certain areas of health that I'm not really where I want to be at, and it's all about being disciplined. Waking up in the morning, doing my devotion, my meditation, and then getting on to the day instead of just jumping into things and being consistent.
Yeah.
And so I feel that one of the areas I need to be more consistent is building the Empower series and making sure that it's a sustainable organization. I tell people that at some point I'm not going to wake up. And what I want is the Empower series to continue going, to be a global organization. And is it there yet? It's not like an AT&T, right? I feel like if I don't wake up tomorrow, there's going to be some bumpy roads for a little bit. And so that is my number one goal, to really make sure that I have a team and systems in place to where the Empower series can continue to grow, inspire, give people hope long after I'm gone. And I just need to get off the procrastination couch.
Well, look, we all
to
need
make
to
that
get off
happen,
that.
right?
Yes.
Right. So I just wanted to share, be a little bit more transparent with you, since you guys were bold enough to be,
Sure.
transparent with me.
Thank you for
Thank
that.
you.
Absolutely.
So I do have a question for you. So if mindset is the most important thing, no matter what it is we're doing in life, how would you help somebody or coach somebody with that, with your Hall strategies or whatever? What's the key to developing the strong mindset?
I'll let you go first on that one.
Developing. Okay, I was like, oh, he's going to take this one. Let's see. Developing a strong mindset. So for me, and I can speak from experience and from myself. So my mindset, it does start with my spirit. So for me, it's what is my foundation? Where is my faith? And so for me, that kind of sets the foundation. So, I mean, when I talked about the various dimensions of wellness, you talk about mental, physical, but spiritual really is the foundation of all of that. Because what am I feeding myself? What am I feeding my spirit, man? What am I feeding my mind? What am I reading? So we have those discussions. Okay, so what are the things that you're reading? Where do you spend your time? How do you find fulfillment? Where are you getting filled? So I talk about things like that. And not all of my clients are Christians, and that's perfectly fine. But I'd like to start with where they are spirit-wise. Where are you in your spirit? And then from there we start dealing, okay, well, then you start dealing with the mind, and then you start dealing with the body. It's all concurrent. So what I deal with, and a lot of my clients, especially in yoga, I don't meet a lot of Christians. I meet people from all different walks of life. So we go back to, let's start what you talked about. Let's start with that intention. What are you trying to get out of life? What is the end goal? What is the end result? What are you trying to get to? And we talk about mental clarity. And I also start with, when you talk about setting a strong foundation mentally, I talk about balance, right? So there are going to be days where you feel like you're imbalanced. Know that there is no such thing as perfect balance. Some days you're going to feel mentally clear, you're going to feel physically fit, you're going to feel like, oh, my spirit man is growing. And then there's some days where you're going to feel like you're teetering on one side or the other. And that's okay. I mean, there's no perfect person, there's no perfect day, there's no perfect week. But what you're doing is when you start to feel like you're dropping in one area, you just focus on one area. And I heard someone say this one time. He said, I'm a father, I'm a coach, I'm a teacher, and I can't give myself 100% every day in each area. So what he does is he wakes up in the morning, he determines, okay, what am I going to focus on today? I'm going to give 100% to that. And so it's like, think of like life as an average. So I might not be able to give 100% to, unfortunately, my family that day because I've got to work longer hours. But I'm going to make up for that somewhere else. So there's a way that you can balance your life. And it might not be a daily thing, but over time you start to find balance. Like what works? What days are you going to give things to this? What day are you going to give here? And to me, it starts at, okay, what's important to you? And what's important to you starts with your values, which to me, in my opinion, is your spirit. So start with your spirit, and then we start with your mind, and then we start with your body.
Okay. So which is a part of how do you get to that? What do you feed yourself? What do you bring in?
Yes.
And
yes.
And like not beating yourself up, but I guess being quiet enough to determine, okay, what's going to be the next thing that I'm going to work on now?
Exactly.
Realizing that you can't be 100% on all 10 things. That's
exactly.
like 1,000%. That's not going to work, right?
Exactly. No, don't stress yourself out trying to be 100% in everything because you're going to drive yourself crazy, right? But just finding what are the top, you talked about a list, what are the 10 things that you want to accomplish? Just start with a list. What do you value? And then from there, we start to build a plan.
Okay.
Start to work from
And
there.
just to add to that a little bit, I think we sometimes confuse or mistake what is realistic. We can look at social media and see there's someone who's traveling all the time. Someone looks like they have a ton of money, and someone who looks like they just make no mistake. And then we look at our life and we see, okay, well, I'm working my job, but what can I do differently? Why am I not at that level? And then you begin to push yourself, and you set unrealistic expectations based on someone who's posting their highlights. And so now, you have to have that grace for yourself. So like Brittany was saying, you won't be able to give 100% to everything every time. You have to have some mercy for yourself. You have to have some grace. So there are days when I say, you know what, kind of tired. I'm not going to go to the gym today. You know what, I'm kind of tired. I'm just going to relax and be okay with that. The world won't end. I can still reach my goals. You have to allow time for yourself to rest and recharge.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
Just having those discussions with our clients. I mean, just being upfront with them about, okay, what are you trying to accomplish? And just assuring them that you might not get everything you want in a week, and that's okay. But just having that open one-on-one discussion is why we start with the discussions, and then if they want to do the training, that's next. But first, it's spirit, mental growth. That's first.
So have you guys read this book called The Illusion of Money by Kyle Keese, I believe?
I have not read that, but I need to.
It's an interesting book because he talks about how, the reason why we don't have the things we want is because we're chasing them. And we tend to be chasing things externally. So whether it's, what we see on social media and trying to strive or whatever it is, we're chasing things outside of us, which is not who we are. So we're not a father, we're not a parent, we're not, sons. And, we are something from a spiritual standpoint. You got to identify who are you.
Yes.
And a couple of exercises that I've seen someone go through is this whole idea of if you, like I've asked someone to say Empower Series to themselves without moving their mouth, but just to say Empower Series. And then I would ask, so you heard yourself say Empower Series, but you didn't move your mouth. There was no vibration, nothing, no sound. So who is that speaking?
Yeah.
Or then I asked the people to close your eyes and to think about, envision 10 years ago. And then envision 10 years in the future. And I said, you clearly envision things, but your eyes were closed. So what is really vision? And so there's something beyond this physical experience that we're having.
Yes.
And how do you tap into that? Because you got to slow down.
Right.
You got to slow down somehow. So whether that's reading the scripture, whether that's praying, whether it's meditation. But I do believe tapping into that before you start externally doing the things that we need to do and taking care of our body.
Yes.
My cousin would tell me that we tend to feed ourselves, but we're spiritually anorexic.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yes.
So feeding that first before we start the activity is key.
Yes.
Okay.
I love the quote, we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. I'm like, oh, that is so good.
Yeah.
I am not, this body is not who I am. The real me is what's inside. I love that if you think about it like a astronaut. He can't travel outside of this atmosphere without the spacesuit. I can't do the things I need to do on this earth without this vessel.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that what's inside is most important because that's the real you. That's the energy, your spirit man, that's going to last forever. This outward man will die at some point. But what we want to focus on is this.
Yeah, Dr. Dennis Kimbrough said that ideas is your creator talking to you and telling you what you can do and what you can't be. And in the Empower series, I tell people that our most valuable resources are our ideas. We need to be better stewards of our ideas. It tells us what we're going to do with our time, how we're going to take care of our bodies, who we're going to spend time with, and what we really manifest in this world. Because everything that exists here exists in somebody's mind and imagination first.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Of what we can be.
Yeah.
100%.
And so I can talk to you guys forever.
This
It's
is
like
fun.
time just stopped. Now I don't know if they enjoyed it, right? But we did.
I learned something today, too. It's good for me.
So I know that one of the things I told you guys about was Shaka Senghor's in town today.
Yes.
Right. So Shaka Senghor, for those of you who may not know, he wrote the book Righting My Wrongs. But he spent 19 years in prison, came out in 2010, and does some phenomenal things. But what he did in prison has really transformed his life. He was in prison because he shot someone and killed somebody, but he vowed to be an asset to the community when he came out.
That's good.
And his message is that people are redeemable. But he's going to be speaking at the Dallas Institute Monday for part of the MLK Symposium from 7 to 8. And students are free, teachers are free. I think it's $20, but you go to their website, you can definitely register. But I bring him up for some reason because in wrapping this up, he really talks about the fact that he had a vision of what he wanted to do. And he had this vision and a dream when he was in solitary confinement, when he was in the worst place to try to manifest that vision.
Wow.
When he didn't know he was ever going to get out of jail. Wow. But he believed that he wanted to be an author. He wanted to be interviewed by Oprah. Didn't know if it was even going to be possible. But to this day, he's close friends to Oprah. You know, she read his book, and now he's a New York Times bestseller, and he's produced things with Oprah. He's done his world is phenomenal. So if you have time to see him, I would say see him.
Okay.
And he's an embodiment, I believe, of the Empower series, to where I want people to really believe that whatever they envision, they can achieve. Inspired to take action on their ideas, be educated, educate yourself at all times, and to connect yourself with the resources that are around you, because there's abundance of resources and angels around us that can help us.
Yes.
So with your Hall strategies, I definitely want you to tell people how to get in touch with you again, and what would be your closing message to them?
Yes.
So hallstrategiesllc.com, and you can also reach us at hallstrategiesllc@gmail.com. And also on social media, Miss Britt Hall.
Miss _Britt
Miss
Hall.
Britt Hall
Yeah.
on Instagram, and Tyler _Hall. And my closing message would be, before you do anything, sit down with yourself and determine what is your why. Every day when I wake up for work, in the car, I say a prayer to myself, and just to prepare myself mentally for that day, and understand what my goal is for that day professionally, and also when I leave the office. So always understand what your why is.
Have you written down your why?
I do.
And how often do you look at that?
Whenever I feel tired.
Yeah.
Whenever I feel tired.
When you need it, huh?
Yeah, when I need it.
Yeah. They said a lot of times, write down your goals, and the more you look at them, the greater chance you have of achieving them. But so many people write down goals and they just don't look at them every day, or a vision board. So thank you.
Yeah.
Good.
And what would you say your closing remarks would be?
My closing remarks would be to not focus so much on the physical aspect of wellness, but to learn to balance all areas of wellness. And again, starting with the spirit and the mind, and then going towards the body, which is your vessel to your spirit.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you, because you guys have spent the most precious resource you have with the Empower series in our community today.
We enjoyed it. Yes.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. This was wonderful.
Hey, so here's what I want to do. I want to talk to you guys about, every month we do a different topic, a different theme. So this month is vision and goal setting. Next month is going to be entrepreneurship. The month after that is going to be actually credit, proving your credit. And then we have preparing for college. We have financial literacy. But in July, we have physical fitness. And it's not just physical fitness, but it's how that relates to everything. So I definitely want to see how we can collaborate and do something
Absolutely.
in July. Right?
Yes.
So this is not going to be the last time that we work together and collaborate.
Good.
This is not going to be the last time you guys will see the Hall strategies, right?
We did good.
We're going to see the Hall strategies in action.
Exactly.
We love it.
She told you I was persistent, so you'll hear from me.
Oh, yeah. We'll be in touch. Absolutely.
Like, I didn't have a choice, right? Well, again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank again our sponsors, Comerica Bank, AE Media Group, and your generous donations. Stay connected with us on all of our social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share this with other people. Be a blessing. The only reason they're going to find out about the Empower series is if you share it. So until we meet again, I want you to be empowered and inspired to thrive. Thank you, and God bless you.
God bless you.